Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grooving and Giving in Early Retirement. I'm Radhika, and thank you for spending your time with me today. I left my career during the pandemic to focus on my passion, a childhood for children, a not-for-profit that I started in 2012 to fulfill the basic needs of children. My other passion is to travel, and here I am in Cambodia at the Angkor Wat Temple at sunrise. Look at the temple view behind me. Incredible. In today's video, I am talking about why saying something like, my partner handles my finances, can cost you. I'm asking you to reclaim your financial intelligence, financial confidence, financial power, and your financial independence. I always say the person who knows the numbers has the power. I'm asking you to put that power back in the palm of your hands. Before you can have financial independence or financial freedom, you have to have financial intelligence. And what that means is you gotta know your numbers. So if you are one of those people who say things like, I don't handle my finances, my spouse takes care of all of that, I don't really know what's going on, this video is for you. I'm gonna break down the simple things of what you need to know your numbers. Knowing your numbers means getting closer to financial independence or financial freedom, to have all the ability to do the things that you love to do. One of my passions is traveling, and here I am today at Angkor Wat in Cambodia. Let's go. So let me tell you a little bit about my background. I'm a CPA in the United States, and most of my career was spent in corporate international tax. However, early on in my career, I was doing personal taxes, and I was called to advise individuals who were getting laid off from their jobs. So they were getting severance packages from their employer. One of the employers was a large car manufacturer, and another employer was a big university. So they were laying off people, and they were offering severance packages, and each person had to decide whether they wanted to take the severance package or not. And what I learned in helping individuals make that decision was that a lot of people did not actually know their finances. I would ask them basic questions as part of the interviews, and they wouldn't know a lot of their information. And sometimes I would learn that one person in the relationship knew a little bit more than the other person. Or if they were not, let's say, a married couple, they were a boyfriend, girlfriend, or they were living together, but they weren't married. That one person did not have enough information to help make the decision for their future, which can be very dangerous. So in this video, I'm talking about why saying or believing or allowing one partner to handle the money can really become a costly situation, or could potentially become a costly situation. Now, I get it. The advantages of one person handling the finances are pretty good, right? Like, you divide and conquer your responsibilities in a marriage or in a relationship. I'm not saying both people have to do the same work twice. Like, you don't want to double up your work. You have a lot of things going on. You have a life to live. So you don't want to do that. Now, obviously, it is efficient. There's time savings. If one person even has the skills, like I'm the CPA, so in my marriage, I handle the finances. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about where one person really has all the information and the other person does not have an information. That's where things can become relatively difficult and challenging. Let's talk about what exactly we are talking about. What are the disadvantages when one person is really handling all the finances and the other person has no idea what's going on? First, it can really create a bad situation should something happen to one partner. I experienced this recently in one of my extended family members, where he became sick. The spouse became, one of the spouses became sick, and the other spouse had no idea how to handle the finances. And the sickness was dementia, and it came on very slowly. So it wasn't like, it was some sickness that happened overnight. No, it was slowly. So it was very hard to see what was going on. And so the other spouse found themselves handling the finances without any knowledge. And things only went worse because they were scammed out of their money. There were a lot of issues that happened, and it so turned out that in a short period of time, one spouse passed away and the other spouse found themselves without any money, and they did not ask any family members for help. And so they found themselves really in a very, very bad situation. You don't want that to happen. And in my marriage, where I am handling all the finances, when I worked a full-time job, sometimes I was working 60, 70 hours a week. Coming home and doing the finances did not seem all that appealing to me, even though I have the skills. So it was really important that both of us understood what was going on. It has to be a collaborative experience so that the other person also feels like they are making decisions. When one person handles all the finances, it can feel like there's a power imbalance. They make all the decisions. And sometimes your financial decisions are, your biggest and your most important decisions. Obviously, if you have children, other decisions about your children, for instance, are very important. But financial decisions can feel like they're very important decisions. And when one person is making all the decisions, that can feel like there's a shift in the dynamics of a relationship. Again, I'm not saying both people need to do the work twice. What I'm saying is you need to make the financial decision-making collaborative, which means you need to come together and understand what is going on. The person who does not do the finances should ask questions. The person who does the finances should answer the questions so that both partners are collaborating in the decision-making. One of the other disadvantages of letting one person handle all the finances is there is a missed opportunity for the person who does not handle finances to grow, to gain financial literacy. You learn by doing. If you never do, you will not have the literacy, the education, the confidence to know what's going on in your finances, right? So you really do learn by doing. Logging into your accounts, knowing where your accounts are. These are all the things that you want to know well before something happens, something bad happens, or something, difficult happens in your life. You want to know where all the pieces of the puzzle are. You don't want to try and figure this out in a time of stress. So I do think it's really important that the person who does not do the finances get involved so they can improve their financial literacy, their financial confidence, know about their income and expenses. And more importantly, they have something to contribute, and they might be able to contribute to how you can improve your savings rate. So having two people be involved is actually a really, really good idea. Another, of course, very terrible situation, and most people don't think about it when they get together, is what if you separate? What if there's a divorce? You want to know where all your accounts are, what the accounts look like, whose accounts, whose names are on which accounts. You want to know that information before you go into dealing with a separation, a divorce, and a settlement that you may have to figure out, right? Like if you have to think about child support and things like that, you want to know what your numbers look like. I say this all the time. The person who knows the numbers has the power. So I think both people in a relationship should have power over their finances. And of course, one of the worst situations to have to deal with is should your partner die suddenly. You want to be set up for success. So I'm going to do a separate video. I have 5 strategies on how to gain financial confidence, financial intelligence, financial stability. And I have used those strategies in my marriage with my husband. And it is not a sprint. It is a marathon, because you are going to use those strategies for the rest of your life. It is not about what can I learn in this moment. It is about what can I learn as a 1% today. We're not trying to boil the ocean. We are trying to gain knowledge a little at a time. And keep in mind, you gain knowledge by doing. So a lot of those strategies will involve you having to go do something about the situation, whether it's something as small as logging into the accounts, trying to figure out what type of accounts you have, where are they, that kind of stuff. So I will do that into a second, a different video. Now, also keep in mind, there's a lot of emotional vulnerability when one person feels dependent on another to understand whether they can make big purchases. Normally in my marriage, my husband and I had this idea that if we were going to make a big purchase and we established an amount of what was considered a big purchase, um, if we were going to make a bigger purchase, that we would talk to each other about it before we spent the money. Now, if one person has control over all the finances, the other person might feel a little bit vulnerable, or feel a little bit stressed about having to broach that subject of wanting to spend that money. But if you've established parameters ahead of time, maybe that won't feel so bad. So it's really important, if you are the person who is allowing or has a spouse or a partner who is handling all the finances, there are lots of ways that it can or may cost you, right? Emotional vulnerability, stress, should something happen to them, whether it's through illness or whether you a death, or whether you may go through a separation or even a divorce, right? That can be very stressful and can cost you in the wrong time. It may even cost you in a smaller way, like power imbalance, emotional vulnerability. So there are lots of ways that allowing the other person to handle your finances can cost you. And my advice to you would be to gain that confidence back slowly, correctly, gain that intelligence back slowly, and make sure that you are doing this for yourself. Make sure you're doing this and helping your parents, your children have financial literacy, because you don't want to be in a situation where you say, well, my partner handles all of our finances, I don't know what's going on. You don't want to learn the hard way that something small like that, something you could have done, you had time to do something about it and you didn't. So I hope that you will take some control over your finances and start to learn a little bit more. I will be posting a separate video on, like I said, the 5 strategies that can help you gain financial intelligence, financial confidence. Thank you all so much for watching. This is Radhika. I am Grooving and Giving in Early Retirement, where I talk about living my best life in early retirement, giving back to my local and global community, and the glue that holds it all together, financial freedom. Thank you so much for watching. Akun, as they say in Cambodia.